Talk Live, Season 6, Episode 52, Kelly Shores Rebroadcast. Got that coming up next. Bill the Drone Reviewer here. If you like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The holidays are in full swing and I am taking some much needed time off. But tonight you're in for a real treat. We're going to play a rebroadcast of my interview with Kelly Shores from earlier this year. Kelly is just an excellent source of drone information, and it's always a treat to have him on the show. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 6, Episode 13. Very special guest, Kelly Shores from Ready, Set, Drone. Kelly, how are you this evening?
I'm fantastic, and I cannot believe it's Season 6. That is commitment right there, Bill.
I tell you, I've missed very few shows, and it's even through vacations, I've managed it so I'd be back here on Tuesday and crank out a show, and when I didn't, I would pre-record something and have it out there. So there was always something going on Tuesday night at 8:00, which it's great.
Consistency is the key, right? That's what people want. That's what
exactly.
People want. Well, I see we got Michael from Fly Zone in the audience. We got Lauren in the audience. We got Michael Wright from Texas Architecture Drone Guy, Fly Guy Merrill, Drone Views Media. It's awesome. Leonard,
yeah, got a good showing tonight. And first of all, I heard you are going to be at South Florida Drone Meetup.
I am going to be there. Yes, are you going to be there?
Unfortunately, no. I believe me, it's exactly where I wanted to be this weekend. But we had one of those once in a lifetime projects, all hands on deck at work kind of a thing.
Yeah. Those always come up when you have something you really want to do.
It never fails. It's just like it's always like before the day before a holiday.
Right.
I get handed something to do and got to get it done before the end of the day, kind of stuff. It's the same kind of thing here, and it's one where it affects all the batch jobs that we run at public supermarkets, and everybody's
like a domino effect. If you didn't get it done, it would tumble.
Yeah. You got to have these batch jobs have to run, and it's a scheduling system for it, and it's just like it's been crazy. I've been working 10, 12-hour days. So
how can you use a drone to fix that, Bill?
Yeah, trust me, I've tried to figure that out. I've kind of scratched my head several times trying to figure that out. But that software that's doing this stuff, it's mind-boggling what it does. I mean, I can't, and I've been in IT for 30 years, and I can't even figure this stuff out. It's just over my head. But no, we were there last year, and we had such a good. It's only about a 3-hour drive from where we live.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So you're over on the west side, right?
Right, we're over on the Gulf side on Tampa,
near Tampa.
And it was really about a 3-hour drive over there. It was a wonderful drive. No interstate, which was real nice. I love.
Oh, so really pretty drive too.
Oh yeah, it was real nice. And it was a great place. And we just had such a good time last year. It was so much fun. And
I'm super stoked. I can't wait to go. I know Captain Ray puts on a good show, and Maddie's going to be there, and I've actually seen a lot of people come in from other places. I think Brad's going. I think Michael Wright's going. So a lot of people flying in. We're flying into Orlando. Chris is coming with me too. Sunrise Water Media, Chris, and we're gonna fly into Orlando on Friday. We leave pretty early. We leave Austin at like 6:45 a.m. or something. So we get in a pretty good time. Drive down. What do you think it'll be from Orlando? Maybe 2.5 hours?
Orlando, probably about 2.5 hours, I would think. Because you're probably a little bit close. I mean, it's kind of funny. Everybody always thought, Tampa to Daytona is straight shot. It's kind of like at angles. It's like Tampa's here, Orlando's here, and Daytona's here, kind of a thing. So,
what are you in Tampa proper? Like what? Or like, because my grandparents used to live in Dunedin.
Oh, I know exactly where that is.
Yeah,
my wife's sister used to live up there. And
it's real pretty.
Yeah, it's real nice. It was a trip for us. It was about an hour. Everybody goes, "Oh, how come you're not at the beach all the time?" Well, to get to the beach from like where we live in I want to kind of call it South Tampa, it's a good 45 minutes
But
to an hour.
you're on the water, right? Because I
Get
know.
to the
I mean,
beach.
I see you flying out on the water. Is that a canal or a
Well,
channel or
that was
what?
our previous house.
Oh,
We'd had, I'll call it a large pond / lake, and
okay.
yeah, one of the reasons we ended up moving was the developer was going to be filling in part of it and building homes, and
Oh,
um,
really?
yeah, it
So it was
was.
a man-made thing. It wasn't part of
Yeah,
the.
that lake was man-made. Actually, that whole property back there, it was fish farms way back in the day.
Oh, okay.
And one of the guys that owned the property behind us before he sold it to us found out there used to be a grass strip and planes used to land there, like
Wow.
crop dusting kind of planes. And they used it for cattle. There were cows back there. We had cows come up to our fence. Our dog went nuts.
Yeah, yeah, really,
Cows
but
coming
really
up to the
nice
fence.
to not have anything behind you other than water or cows or no neighbors to worry about. You could fly your drone that direction. I mean,
Mhm.
that's I guess I didn't know you had moved. How long ago did you move?
It was it's actually 2 years ago this Friday.
Okay.
And we moved into it's called Valencia del Sol. It's kind of like middle class retirement community,
So
and
you have
it's
to
so
be
nice. We have
over a certain age to live there?
yeah 55 and over. We have
Okay.
an on-site restaurant. We have a pool that'll knock your socks off.
Everybody
Uh,
drives golf carts around.
Everybody drives golf carts. We have bocce ball courts,
Oh, nice.
tennis courts, paddle ball,
I love some bocce
dog
ball.
run here. Just incredible area. Well, right now, unfortunately, in Florida, and when you're around a body of water, you really got to watch out right now because it's gator mating season, and they've
Oh,
been
yeah.
super active. Like, well, down our street, my wife and I, we love going out for walks,
Yeah.
but it's like right now between dusk and dawn, that's when they're the most active.
Right.
Somebody spotted one about 8:30 at night the other night on Monday night. We got a message. They didn't take a picture, but it was see, they hiss when they come out because they're trying to attract the females because it's mating season.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
want to
it's
get in the way of a mating gator. That would not be
no,
good.
no, no. And they've been super aggressive this year. I mean, there was down south of us in Fort Myers, there was an 85-year-old lady who was walking her dog by a pond. The gator came out of the water initially trying to get the dog, but got the lady and took her under, and she died,
Oh,
unfortunately.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
wouldn't be a fair fight.
Well, I don't know if you've seen any of Ray's videos, but it's funny because I posted a picture of a gator trapper who's in the area. Ray goes, I know him. Ray's actually been out on several gator hunts.
Really?
It's just yeah.
So-
Oh yeah, you got to watch some of his videos. It's crazy. And then
But you can't. I mean, it's kind of like we have a lot of deer in our neighborhood. You can't just poach a gator right there. I mean, you couldn't shoot it, right?
well, you get permits. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
And-
that's what I'm
and
saying. It's not something that you can just go out. You have to have, yeah,
Right. You have to be licensed to do that. I mean, the state issues so many permits to do that. And a lot of people think, oh, the old thing is they'll relocate them to another area. They don't do that because you may be taking an adult male who's too old,
Right.
and the younger ones would just have a field day with them. I mean, they're known to eat each other too.
Yeah. No, they don't mess around.
So yeah, they don't. They really kind of don't mess around. Well, I ended up. It's real nice because there's a dead end up. I mean, like 5 minutes from us, and it's just a perfect area to fly drones. That's where I've been flying. So instead of walking out to the backyard, it's about 3-minute drive up there.
Nice.
It's real nice, peaceful, quiet. Don't have anybody bother me up there. I like it. It's a great area to do it, and it's good enough where and I'm flying over unoccupied area, which is great.
Yeah, yeah,
and
nice to have that open space.
yeah, it really is. So
Did you see what Sean Geeks Fauna said? Mr. Croc, please stop eating me until I get my permit. I can't really shoot back until the permit is here. So
yeah.
Well, so
Well,
what
yeah.
is your drone of choice these days, Bill? What's your
My
number
drone
one
choice
favorite?
is Mavic 3. It's just and it really kind of, I mean, it's knocked my socks off since day one.
Yeah,
But
it's
what
amazing.
really knocked my socks off was I took it to do, I'll call it a twilight, early night flight
Okay.
around where our pool area was in the clubhouse. And the video I got back from that, I mean, my jaw just hit the ground. I mean, it was just amazing.
If you have some
just,
pretty color in the sky, it's going to really catch it.
Yeah, it did. And just, I bought 2 batteries for it, Kelly. And you know what? I've never exhausted one battery on a flight.
Really? Yeah. I mean, you're up in the air for 25 minutes. That's usually plenty, right?
Yeah, you've gotten your video, you're done, you're ready to go. And well, the one thing that I did like was, they added, I'll call it a semblance of waypoints. I think waypoints on the Mavic 2 were better than on the Mavic 3, but still, they got it. It's like I said, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah, that's a fairly recent, like in the last few months, software update too, right?
Yeah, it's just been recently that they've added that, and I really have liked that. The other one that is in my stable is the Mavic 3 Pro, Mini 3 Pro, and it just every time I think I can't fly that drone because it's too windy, it'll go up there and hold its own. And
it is insanely good in wind and so simple. As a matter of fact, I just actually had the opportunity to go to England and met Geeks Fauna in person. We had lunch together, had a great conversation. He's going to be on my show first Friday in April, which is not this Friday, but next. Anyway, I didn't even end up taking a drone to the UK, mostly because my baggage, I had too much stuff already. And my wife was like, we got to travel light. And I agreed. And we took the kids. We basically each had a carry-on, and we had one duffel bag that we checked. And that was so my daughter could go. She loves going to thrift shops, so she could go to English thrift shops and buy a bunch of stuff to sell on Poshmark. So we did that, but I didn't end up taking the drone over there. And it's kind of good that I didn't, because the weather was cold and rainy the entire time we were there. There were a couple of days where the sun kind of poked out, but it wasn't going to be pretty footage. It was more, I was telling Chris earlier today, actually, I was talking to him about it. And one of the things I was like, I only wish I'd taken it to say I flew a drone in England. That was kind of the only thing I have to go back so I can say that at some point.
Well, yeah, I want to get over there because I know so many people over there. I know Sean, but there's several others that I know, and a couple up in Ireland as well. And I would just absolutely love to get over there, but it's just like right now, the way my schedule is. For example, I also since we've talked last, I also have a ham radio channel. And
yeah, I knew you were into ham radio, and
it's called Ham Radio Basics. And believe it or not, I've had 4 or 5 guys from drone guys watch me and comment and participate. And I have a live stream every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And I get a lot of guys from.
Wait, do you stream it on YouTube or do you do it over ham radio?
Yeah, I stream on YouTube. Yeah,
you should just get it on the radio and do it that way.
Pretty much. What's nice is coming up. Every year they have a couple, 3 big, they call them, for lack of a better term, like conventions or hamventions. And the biggest one is coming up in Dayton, Ohio at the end of May.
Okay.
And what's real nice for me is Dayton, and exactly where this is, it's in Xenia, Ohio. And Xenia was like about a stone's throw away from where my 2 older children went to college. So I know that area like the back of my hand. It's less than an hour away. It's near Dayton, and it's less than an hour from Columbus.
Oh, I was about to say, is that near Columbus as well? That's actually kind of pretty because it's lots of trees and kind of hilly there, right? There's some rolling hills.
It's real nice. So we're going to stay in Columbus. We're going to kill 2 birds with one stone. We're going to finally get to meet our second granddaughter, who we never met.
Nice.
Spend some time with them. And then like Friday, probably all day Friday and part of the day Saturday, go out to Dayton to do this. And I've rubbed shoulders with it and have gotten to know a lot of the YouTube guys over in ham radio. And I got to tell you this, they are great people. They are just like so friendly, so nice. Just
that is really true across the board. And, I say this on almost every show, but when you start looking at the people in this chat and that come to my live streams and come to Spin Up and go to the South Florida Drone Meetup, I mean, these are all guys you want to hang out with, guys and gals that you want to hang out with. I just wish there were more gals, involved. You know, there's a small but awesome minority. You know, but right now, pretty much, I feel like, especially I've seen a few times when there have been things like fundraisers that have been going on. Someone's had some sort of a problem or whatever. Everybody just chips in, whether it's everything from just a really good thought, you know, supporting somebody emotionally, and then down to giving money. You know, I've had people donate money to things, not specifically for me, but more for something that I was like, hey, we should try to help these people. And everybody chips in 10, 50, $100, and you know, it's huge.
Yeah, we've had a guy, for example, he was my first interview that I did on, like what I do on Wednesday nights is I interview somebody from the ham radio community on YouTube. And the first one I did, he was recently in a car accident, just had to have surgery. And one of the other guys put a GoFundMe together, and, you know, people jumped right on that. What was real interesting for me, where I got, you know, I figured, you know, since I've been around social media for a while, I kind of figured, you know, it probably shouldn't be too hard for me to get some traction with YouTube. And it really surprised me how quickly I'm up to about 1,400 subscribers. I don't have the hours yet, but I'm pretty impressed with that. And
I've always wondered about starting a second channel. If a second channel is a little bit easier, because you kind of know more what to do. Plus, you have people that already follow your first channel, so they might subscribe to your second channel. But I do have a question. I mean, just in very basic terms, what is ham radio? Because I've heard the term. I know citizens band radio, like CB radio, and I think ham radio is more of like an AM frequency that goes global. Is that right?
Well, kind of, sort of. You know, what I tell people is there's, for instance, local is UHF, VHF, and there's a device called a repeater, which, you know, you've seen guys with the handhelds, okay?
Yeah.
They're called HTs or hand
I remember
talkies.
UHF and VHF because that was how you changed your TV channels, right? Your top dial was your VHF, and then on the bottom you put it on U, and then on the bottom you had like a whole bunch more numbers, like, you know, 26, 39, because the top channel only had like 12. Is that right? The VHF has 12 frequencies.
Yeah, that was the bands. And when you hit a repeater, you can talk to somebody that's maybe 100 miles away, you know, through hitting a couple of repeaters, which is real interesting. And the other part I like to call it single sideband, or SSB, and that's when you do the long distance. Okay. Depending upon, and there's several different bands that you could hit. Like right now, the solar cycles are really good. So during the day, a lot of the bands are like really active. So say, for instance, I could probably talk to somebody over in Europe real easy, or
really like a clear, nice, clear, transmission. But that's through hitting repeaters, or that's through a direct, like you're hitting them directly.
You're hitting them directly, and it's a thing called propagation, where the radio waves bounce off the atmosphere, and that's because during the day. And at night it changes. Some of the bands are better some bands are better at night, and some bands are better during the day to be able to do that.
That's like
now,
music.
it also depends
some
upon
bands
how many
sound better at night, you know, at a club, and some bands sound better during the day.
Yeah. Well, you know, it all depends on how many watts your station is. You know, I have you know, the radio I use it's called HF, for the SSB, for the distance, it's 100 watts. And they also have what's called QRP, which is, you know, it's kind of like you challenge yourself to either 5 or 10 watts in making those same kind of contacts overseas. And if it's a good day and you have a really good antenna, you can do that. Now, my biggest challenge for me is I have to use a portable antenna where I live, because I live in an HOA.
Oh, you can't put one on your roof.
I can't put one on my roof. Now, I can erect a 20-foot flagpole, and they make flagpole ham radio antennas. But my problem is you have to use what's called radials, and radials go from the base and spread out, and that helps you kind of ground your antenna.
In case it gets hit by lightning?
Well, no, that's for better reception.
Okay.
You have to, and it's real interesting, for grounding, you have to drive an 8-foot brass spike into the ground, and you run all your grounding to that. And normally, you know, like during a thunderstorm, you disconnect your antennas. You know, most guys disconnect their antennas anyway.
Because you hit water at 8 feet, probably.
I don't know, because I haven't done it because I use portable. I'll set it up and then take it down, which is a real
I'll
pain
bet
in the
if you
butt.
took an 8 foot spike and drove it into the ground, I'll bet by the time it got all the way down, you'd be in water.
Probably in Florida, yeah,
Yeah.
I would bet. I would really bet. I haven't done that. Now, what a lot of guys like to do, especially on weekends, it's called there's two terms, POTA and SOTA. POTA is parks on the air.
Okay.
SOTA is summits on the air. And you go to a state park and you can do what's called activate. And what will happen is you'll get a bunch of guys calling into you to make contacts, and then you can register it, and you get so many points, and you can win contests and things like that.
Oh, wow.
Like
a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, kind of like a scavenger hunt. And you can do the same thing going to a summit, like a mountaintop, and do the same thing. Although you got to carry all your gear with you, which is a real
right. You need a Sherpa for that.
Yeah, you kind of do. So I stick to the parks on the air. Although around here down in Florida, you got to be real careful because you don't only watch out for, of course, gators. We have these other creepy crawlies called snakes all over the place down here too. So you got to be careful when you go to the parks.
So Dustin said he has a ham radio channel as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know Mike B, aka the Drone Ranger. He's one of the guys that follows me, and Floyd Motes. He follows me on my ham radio channel as well too.
Nice. So so when you actually contact somebody, are they usually speaking English? Do you ever get somebody speaking a different language?
Oh, well, I get some hard to understand people, but English is the preferred language.
Okay.
Around the world, and you have to state your call sign and enunciate it clearly, like Kilo Whiskey for Quebec Oscar. That's mine. Okay. And you got to use it phonetically like that. Like I call it the military alphabet, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Now
that's actually one of the things you have to memorize or know to get your Part 107.
Yeah.
It's alpha.
Well, a lot of guys are into what they call CW, and what CW is really, it's Morse code. And it used to be have to pass the Morse code portion of the test to get licensed as a ham radio operator. And nowadays it's not optional. It's not even part of the test. And what you do there's 3 levels of exams. You start out as a technician, then you become a general, and then you go to an amateur extra, and the questions get harder. And what they do is really nice. There's a couple of there's a multitude of great resources to study for these, but the one that I used rotated the question pool so you couldn't memorize the answers. You had to know the answers.
Oh goodness, yeah.
And that's what I used. And I think on the last test I only missed like 2 or 3, which was the hardest of the test. It's like boom, 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 and I passed them. The whole reason for me even doing ham radio, it never entered my thought process when I lived up north, was because of hurricane season and being able to communicate, especially, if, cell phones are down, other means of communication are down.
You're kind of new to ham radio.
Yeah. I started in
the last few years.
Yeah. I started in 2014. I got licensed got my amateur extra in 2016. And then it was just within the last couple of years that really kind of cranked things up and got things going.
I don't know if you know this, but and I don't know the details. Maybe somebody in the chat can tell us, but that for FPV, if you're operating a transmitter, like an FPV transmitter, at least an analog one, I think you're technically supposed to have a ham radio license to actually operate that.
Yeah, Ed Ricker went out and got one.
Yeah, that's right. Ed and I were talking about that, and he said he did do ham radio. But that was because you have to have the ham radio license to get to fly FPV. I think that's one of those really abstract, deep in the weeds kind of laws that nobody is ever going to enforce. But by rule of it, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. So, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, and it's just everybody's talked about it, and I know the guys, Ron and Marcus, had a great show on it. And I forget the gentleman's name. I think he's French. They talked about they spent a whole show on remote pilot and community-based organizations and all that.
Yep.
And you know what? It was a good show, and it really kind of level set things. But I want to back up just a quick second here. I wish the FAA would be like the FCC. Okay, as I can tell you in my dealings with ham radio and the FCC, they are so much more organized than the FAA. They have
Really?
their act together. They know what's going on. For example, like license renewal, I get online. I pay my $20, and I'm good for another 10 years, and that's all I have to do, and I'm done. Which I think is great. And there's a lot of processes with the FCC are much better than FAA. Anyway, okay. My
Well,
question,
I mean, that's sort of true for your 107. You just have to go to the website to renew your part. Once you've taken the in-person test, you renew it online every 2 years, and it's a pretty simple thing to do.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying more was in terms of policies and processes, with the FCC, they kind of really have their act together. And, with the FAA, it reminds me of, 20 guys running around like crazy trying to put a light bulb in. I mean, it's just, the whole thing with remote ID has just been disorganized, confusing, people not knowing, what they should do, kind of a thing. And I'm real glad Ron and Marcus had those guests on. I think Greg was the guy's name from, I think it was Drone Pilot Institute.
Yeah. Somebody, John Kay said it was Greg from Drone Pilot Institute.
Yeah, and it was a very good show, very informative.
Is
and
he the guy that's in all those ads? Like, I get those ads all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know how to make money with your drone? That guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know who it is.
Well, and they talk about community-based organizations, and you don't have to become a member of one to be able to use their facilities and everything. And there's been a lot of angst because I was a member of the Aircraft Modelers Association for a while.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And, and there's a lot of angst there between that and the drone community. And, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on all this because, it's really going to kind of change the whole landscape of, being able to go out and fly your drone.
So, I was just texting back to, I think Mark was saying, somebody was talking about the new, Mark was talking about the new goggles, Integra and T2, the little new remote that came out. I almost ordered that second remote, but decided not to because the second, what is it called? The little thing that you have.
The hand controller?
Yeah. I never used I never used the first one, and so I'm like, why would I order the second one? But in response to your question about, I guess AMA and FAA and new laws that are coming down, all that sort of thing, I really actually, I mean, I get a lot of communication. So I'm an AMA member. I get a lot of communication from them. I think they put out decent content. I sometimes look at it. You actually have to be a member to join. There's a local club here in Austin called the Austin Aeronauts, and in order to fly on their field, you join the Aeronauts, but in order to join, you have to actually be a member of the AMA as well. And I think that's because they're a community-based organization, the CBO, that I'm not exactly sure how all that works. But, I mean, ultimately, for me, this is my philosophy on flying drones, whether it's FPV or camera drones. It is to just always use common sense, follow the basic rules as far as not flying over people. And I know there's exceptions to that now, not flying near an airport, not flying obviously near manned aircraft in any way, asking people if it's okay, if there's, if you're someplace where you're flying where there's a lot of people around, hey, I'm doing this, explaining yourself, just being a good ambassador, right? Because I think if you're a good ambassador for this hobby, it ultimately gives people a really good impression. I'll give you a great example. So I was in Colorado with Sean Oz and Ed Ricker. You mentioned him earlier. And we were doing a video at Loveland Pass, which is basically the continental divide, where east meets west kind of thing, where the water flows that way on one side and that way on the other side. And the video was a backcountry snowboarding thing where these guys, I don't know if you saw it, but they're all snowboarding down this area that's not really it's not a ski area. It's just a big open area. And they were all holding smoke bombs. So as they were going down, the smoke bombs are going off. Anyway, we were up there for about 4 or 5 hours shooting this thing. And Ed was flying FPV, and I was flying the Mavic 3 to just get aerial shots of it. And then Sean had all kinds of cameras set up and 360 cameras. But I think the thing that really made it work for us, because this is sort of a tourist attraction, a lot of people stop there because it's sort of the continental divide between the two sides of the country. So people were stopping up there, and it was a really pretty day. It was cold, but it was really sunny. And everybody that stopped by, and Ed and Sean were all like just explaining what was going on, what kind of video were we shooting, where they could see it. We weren't flying over anybody. We were flying down through this little place where everybody was snowboarding. And it was, all the people snowboarding were people that were there for this video. Like they were actually in the video. So I think just when you're that way and people understand what you're doing, I think they're a lot more receptive than when you just kind of keep to yourself, or you get grumpy with people if they ask you questions or whatever. I find myself answering a lot of questions. I mean, you probably do as well, Bill. When you're out flying, do you get people coming up and asking you questions about the drone and all that? And I think how you handle that is a big reflection on the community and what we're going to be able to do in the future.
Exactly. For example, I've been approached several times because where I fly at now, it's the side entrance there's a sister community right next to us. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people coming out on their bikes and everything. And, I'll engage them. I'll talk to them for a few minutes and, just in a real nice, calm voice and everything. And several have asked me, what are you doing? And I tell them, first of all, I tell them, I have a drone channel, and I'm out filming another video. I'm doing
you hand them a sticker.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. And I've actually, what's really, this is just so cool. Okay, I'll go out and I'll be wearing one of my shirts or something like this, and sure enough, somebody will ask me, says, "You have a drone channel on YouTube?" And that conversation gets sparked, and and I have shirts for my ham radio channel as well too, and it's the same thing. It's a conversation starter, and it sparks up. What's real interesting, how for like my ham radio channel, I know one thing that I wanted to mention to you was I found where I got my best growth social media wise was on Twitter. It exploded. I mean, I just had a few followers, and then there's a large part of the ham radio community is out on Twitter, which was really interesting. I mean, even more so the drone community.
I'll just put it out there. Chris actually does Ready Set Drones Twitter for me because I can't stand Twitter. So yeah, but I mean, you may be right. Oh, look at this! I have this fancy webcam that follows you. I didn't realize.
Oh, it's following. Wow.
Going back to that idea of starting a second channel. Actually, funny thing. So Chris and I today assembled an electric bike, an e-bike that I got sent for Ready Set Drone. Now, if I do an e-bike video on Ready Set Drone, it probably doesn't get the views I'd like. It's not what people come to the channel for, right? They want to see drone content. So I've thought really hard about wanting to actually make a secondary channel for things like that, because I love electric skateboards, electric bikes, like anything that kind of does that. But I've been hesitant because I feel like, would that cut into my time for making videos for my primary channel, or would it be an opportunity to grow something new using the knowledge I already know and kind of like start over, start like, gee, I wish I had done this when my channel was smaller. Now that you have two channels, Bill, what do you think about that for starting your ham channel? Do you feel like it takes away from your drone channel, or do you think it kind of helps and complements it?
I think they complement each other. It's like, I'm going to be doing, filming a couple of unboxing videos. I'm going to be doing a couple ones for my ham radio channel, and then I'm going to be doing one for my drone channel. Or on the weekend, I'll be going out and flying, and when I come back, I'll set up the antenna and, do another video for that. And one of the things that's really helped me, and I know a lot of people are really kind of taken aback by it, but YouTube Shorts have been, I think for me, it's been a good vehicle. For example,
they get a
what I'll
lot of
do,
views. I mean,
what I'll,
they can get a lot of views. It's surprising when you put a short out. Something, okay, just real quick, Bill. I know I interrupted, but I just want to say this
go ahead.
for context. You could spend days, weeks, even months working on a video, and you put it out there and it doesn't get the views you were hoping for. And then you spend like literally 3 minutes putting a short out there and it gets thousands of views. And it just drives me crazy. I'm like, but other times your shorts don't get many views. So it's kind of like, it's really random. What do you think causes that?
Well, for example, I'll give you what I've done with some firmware updates for the Mini 3 Pro. I'll have the controller set up, and I'll just, I'll make it 30 seconds, and I'll say, this is firmware update v.1. Da 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 da, and it's going to handle the da 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 da, and then that's it. Okay, I'm getting 1,500, 2,000 views just for 30 seconds.
Yeah. Versus hours and hours of work.
Yeah,
that you
versus
put into a regular video that
exactly
might not get that traction. Yeah.
Well,
that is really funny.
One of the other things I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit, and I've kind of talked about it a little bit with Ron and Marcus, and they kind of agree with me, is, the massive, I'll call it growth for drone channels on YouTube. It's just, exponentially since you started, since I started, and Billy started, and Ken and everybody, it's just gone boom. It's
yeah.
In views, I think because of that, okay, because it's so spread out now, okay, I used to like get 5,000 or 10,000 views on a video. I wouldn't even think twice, okay.
Yeah.
And now it's like I'll get 1,000 or 5,000 on it. And Marcus and Ron say the same thing.
Oh yeah. No, my views are way down. It's really, you have to be I think Chris and I talk about this a lot, but you have to, and actually I had a really good conversation with Sean, Geeks Fana, when I was over there. We talked about this. You have to be very, very deliberate and tactical in what you put out there, what kind of videos you try to put out there, because there are certain things that your audience expects from you, and there are certain things they just won't watch. And it's weird because for me, like, I've gotten into flying FPV. I enjoy that. Like I said earlier, I just got this cool e-bike and I'm excited to make a video about that, but if I'm being honest, I only accepted the e-bike because I wanted it. It wasn't because I thought it would be good for my channel. They're like, hey, we'll send you this, $2,000 e-bike if you'll do a review. I'm like, done. Thank you. And so they sent it to me, and I'm going to do a review, and I'll probably never work with them again. It probably won't get me a lot of views, but ultimately I think, the thing that's probably the thing that is carrying my channel right now the most, like I have this thing on my t-shirt that says strangely fun but odd. That's from my little spinner video. That spinner video gets 10,000 views a month easily. It's up in the millions at this point, and I don't even know why. It's just this little spinner. You know what I'm talking about? It has little lights on it. You've seen them. It's like a fidget spinner, but then you can throw it in the air, and it has propellers. And this shirt came from me saying that it was strangely fun but odd, and Chris made the shirt because he thought it was funny, and the Ready Set Drone logo font. Anyway, that's one of those videos that just I don't understand why it's so popular. But then I made a video earlier this year. It was my favorite camera drone for 2023, which happens to be the Mini 3 Pro, and that one is also doing really well because of the topic, right? That's what people are searching for. They want to know that I'm going to buy a drone in 2023. One camera drone, especially new people or people who already have one, or maybe they have one that's a few years old. Yeah, Michael Wright says, and throw it in the air and catch it. That's right. It's ultimately about what topics you choose. And Chris and I talk about this all the time because there's a lot of videos we want to make. We're like, oh, that would be fun to make a video about this or about this or about this. But those videos don't get views, and so you have to kind of figure out what's that balance of making a video that you are excited about and enjoy making, but you also think will resonate well with your audience. Because
it's real interesting because
they're not always the same thing.
Yeah, and commenting on that, for example, I went out and with the Mavic 3, there's a video that I really wanted to do, and I got it done. And then right after that, I put out a video on the Mini 3 Pro. Okay. And the one with the Mini 3 Pro, for example, I don't do a lot of these, but with the Mini 3 Pro, I did one where they're building like crazy in our development right now. We're close to 100% occupancy, which means
like construction around there.
Yeah, construction, and which means we'll take over the HOA, which is great. I mean, our dues are insane. But anyway, I rarely do videos like that because mine are mostly, instructional. This has been the firmware update. Let's see how it works. This kind of a thing. Well, I go up, and I'm going up and down and everything. It did better than that Mavic 3 video, and I thought, and I put a lot of time in that Mavic 3 video.
Yeah. That's the irony of it. You put a lot of time into one video, and it dies or just disappoints you. But then another video that you kind of just throw together does really well.
Yes. Well, the Mini 3. Anytime I do a Mini 3 video, if I keep it on point, it almost always does well. Well. I think, I have a group for just about every DJI drone. Okay.
Yeah.
And the two most popular groups that I have, because, DJI never releases sales figures. And one of the, by far and away, it's my Mini group. Okay. I have almost close to 20,000 on there. And then the one that follows that up is the Air 2S group. Okay. Because it's like 16, 17,
it's
18.
Like the smaller the drone, the more popular it is.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And 9 times out of 10, when I'm getting a question sent to me, and what I do is on my Facebook page, I automatically kick them to say, if you have a question, email me at buildadronereviewer@gmail.com. 9 times out of 10, when I get questions, it's about a mini drone or like a Mini 3. That
sense.
Kind of thing versus like a Mavic 3 all the time.
Well, I mean, you think about the barrier to entry for the Mavic 3, the cost, right? That's a lot more expensive drone. A lot more people are going to own Mini 3s, and a lot more people are interested in flying under the 250 gram mark, right? Not having their 107, being able to fly recreationally with it, all that kind of stuff. It's Michael Toto says, all my educational videos I've done are doing better than others. So that is interesting because I find that educational videos are, especially if they're like really basic, like, 3 things you need to know about flying a drone or 6 mistakes that you make when you're flying a drone. Those kind of things actually do pretty well because they're evergreen content. It's like, as long as they're not specific to a certain drone, you can keep getting views for those year after year. I have one like five things you should know before you buy a drone or something like that. Just every year, and right around Christmas, that thing takes off because guess what? People get drones for Christmas, and so they're like, "Oh, I just got a drone. What are the things I should know?" Boom, my video pops up.
Yeah,
that's really. I mean, what we're talking about here is not drones. We're talking about YouTube algorithm, right? It's like how does it work and how does it know? But shorts are a weird thing, man. I'll tell you, I've had such love-hate relationship with shorts. We put some effort into doing some really cool shorts. I was telling Chris earlier, I had a Mini 3. I had the Mini 3, and I had the Avata, and I had a boom mic, the mic that hangs down like this that you talk over, and I had them sitting there hovering, and I basically just cut between them for the sound, like bzz, 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 and I started doing it faster and faster, so it's like bzz, 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 and it was cool. It was really cool. Like, I thought it was a cool effect. It started off slow and then it went faster and faster. Anyway, I made a short of it, put it up. I thought this is going to kill, and then basically because you can't do a thumbnail for the short, it picked out a frame with the Avata. Well, the background was dark, so you couldn't even see the Avata. It was too dark. I should have been closer in, and that thing got 0 views. I mean, it just, like, nobody watched it. And I thought for sure it was going to be like, I've got a viral hit on my hand, and no, didn't work.
Yeah. Well, what kind of derailed me this year was right at the end of January, I got COVID, and it's just like, okay, the world stopped for about a week and a half, and and it was the hardest part more than anything. Well, I had 103 fever, and that wasn't fun.
I got it. It was like the worst flu I ever had.
Yeah, and well, I had to go to the hospital, and the reason I had to go to the hospital, I had uncontrollable hiccups. Okay. Seriously.
That's
You know,
funny.
oh, it was
I'm sure it
hilarious.
wasn't funny, but Bill, I bet somebody told you when you had it. They said someday this will be a funny story.
Exactly. My wife's laughing about it, but I didn't get a wink of sleep that night. And I tried my remedy, which did not work. And believe it or not, the doctor gave me it was anti-nausea medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, worked like that. Okay. But the worst thing about the whole thing was, okay, I think I'm pretty close to my wife. All right.
Yeah.
And we had to in the same house, but it was like two ships that passed in the
Oh
night.
yeah. No, I was relegated to the guest room. You know what I did? I actually binge watched this show called Severance. Have you seen that show?
No.
Oh, it's on Apple TV. It was really creepy. It was like the Twilight Zone, sort of. But
Okay.
I binge watched 2 seasons of that, or 1 season, whatever it was at the time, while I had COVID. So I always associate that show with COVID. But yeah, I was sweating so much. I actually lost 12 pounds in like 3 days because I didn't eat and I was sweating, and it just, all the liquids came out of me. And my wife put towels down on the bed. She's like, you can't lay on this bed without towels. So
wow.
yeah.
Well,
That's
see,
when you
I took
find out-
that.
That's when you find out if your
COVID.
wife loves you or not, is if she'll come take care of you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I took it was called Plaxovid. It was for free. I picked it up at Walgreens. I think it was like 5 days. I took that, and well, I actually figured out where I picked the COVID up. We had taken my stepdaughter and her husband for her birthday dinner, and there's a place called Black Rock Grill. And what they do at Black Rock Grill, and you probably have it down where you live too. They heat up these stones to like about 700 degrees.
Oh yeah, and you cook on the stones.
And you cook on the
I've done
stones.
that.
Okay,
That's awesome.
So we went there. I was the only one who went to the restroom, and I have to admit, like I washed my hands, but I opened the door and then I didn't go back. I've been like hand sanitizer all over the place kind of deal. I didn't do that when I got back, and sure enough, 8 o'clock that night, I started feeling like, the next morning I had to call in sick.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't test myself till Tuesday. So, but I'm glad
that's the only time you had it.
Yeah, that was the only time I had it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Valerie didn't get it.
That kind of throw you off from yes, and I agree, Mike B. Hit the like button. We got people watching. We should have more likes. If you had it for 5 days, I had it for about 3.5, 4. But once you went to the hospital and took that medicine, it got rid of your hiccups and you were better.
Yeah,
that was all it took.
it was. I was on the mend. I mean, and I
can't
started.
imagine feeling that bad and hiccuping at the same time. I was going to ask you, but did it throw off your channel? Did you find that you couldn't make videos for a while and you just didn't have the
Well,
energy
I
or the
had a couple of
motivation?
videos in the can, which was great. So all I had to do was kind of release them, and it seemed to work really well. Have you followed? And this is real interesting. And this is one of the things I wanted to ask you. I used. I've TubeBuddy's been pretty good for me. Okay,
Yeah.
like I follow
Yeah.
a lot of advice on there.
Yeah.
And one of the things was, about when most of the people that watch your videos are on to release your videos, the time that you release them. And one of the things that I found, and I've kind of done an experiment, and it's worked really well. If I release my videos Sunday at 11 o'clock in the morning, that's when most of the people that are on subscribers are out there and can watch.
They're probably sitting in church with their phone down in the hymnal, watching Bill the Drone Reviewer. That's what I do.
Exactly. Oh, I don't know if I just put this video out. Probably about 3-4 years ago, I had Gail Ornstein on. She was a drone journalist.
Yeah.
And I found out, and it was not funny, haha funny, but funny. Facebook memories come popping up, and I'm looking, and I saw it was the anniversary of me putting the video out. So I go to the video, and I'm scrolling down through the comments, and I'm reading one. This is Bob, Gail's husband. Wanted to let you know Gail passed away in July of 2021. I'm like, oh my gosh.
No, I didn't. Wow.
Yeah, she was. I'll tell you what, she really was just she wanted to be known as a drone journalist, and some of the things that she had to go through to get her drones into certain countries, and it's just amazing. And I went back and I rewatched part of it, and she was an amazing person, and really just a unique perspective on drones. I mean, just
And
totally
you
unique.
hadn't seen that comment until later.
Right. I hadn't seen that comment until like about 2 months ago, which
Yeah.
just floored me, because it's like some of my evergreen videos like that. I get it. I've set up on my Build a Drone Reviewer Gmail. I'll have it throw YouTube comments in a folder. And I'll go there and I look at them. But I never saw that, and then until just a couple of months ago. But
Yeah.
I've since kind of emailed him, and he's been great. Well, what's really nice is he's kept her stuff out there, like her YouTube channel's still out
Yeah.
there. Her website is still out there, so her body of work is there. So it's real. Kind of sad to see that, but kind of interesting at the same time. It kind of brought back some good memories, because she was a really good person.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I think that it's funny because we think of drones as a new technology, but they've really been around for a while now, and now as we get into it further, you're going to start to see that start to happen. You're going to start to see people who have been in the community pass away because it's 10, 20 years old, right? And
Yeah.
people who were 60, 70 years old when they started doing it are now 80, 90, and it's that generational thing that I think we have to kind of keep tabs on the community and keep tabs on the laws behind it, all the stuff you mentioned earlier, because it's important that I feel like the perception of drones gets a better name, and the people that fly them, because everybody I've met that's been a drone pilot has been just a amazing person. I haven't really met a lot of bad eggs in this space.
And it's the same for me too. And that was one of the best things about going to the meetup last year. It wasn't flying. Actually, I'll tell you the truth, I didn't fly while I was at the meetup.
Yeah. Oh, no, no,
Because
no. Chris and I were talking about that today. It's like you're not going there. I mean, yeah, it's fun to fly a little bit, but ultimately you're going there just to meet people in
exactly,
person.
that Friday night, I found, for me, that Friday night, that social time that we had, we were at, it was a pool bar kind of place, and guys hung out there and ordered some pub food, and just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bits, and just that chit chat and that interaction was just incredible. It really
Let
was.
Let me see if people in the chat. I know Michael Wright's going. I know of course Maddie will be there, but who else is going to the South Florida drone meetup in the chat? If you're in the chat and you're going, please say so, because I'd love to know that you'll be there. Yeah. So Bill, you've never been to Spin Up.
No.
What's it going to take to get you down to Austin this year? November.
I would love to. We're going to, like I said, we're going up to Ohio in May.
Yeah, I'm talking about November.
Okay, and that might work, because from what my son-in-law told me, which was real interesting, because not last year but the year before, they came down for a whole week from Ohio. They stayed with us for a week,
Down
and
to
it
Florida.
was just wonderful. And he kind of told me, for all the angst that we went through, that he thinks that they're going to be doing that again this year, which will be good. So we're not going to go. We had to make a choice, because my first granddaughter's birthday is in July. It was either not go to the Hamvention in Dayton in May,
Is
or
that what it's
go in
called? A
July for her
Hamvention?
birthday. So we're gonna go to the Hamvention and be able to spend some time there. And then, so that might happen. That might be on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
radar.
No, November. Actually, you know how it is in Florida and Texas. It's actually like fall and spring are really, really nice, because it's not too hot yet. It's certainly not cold. November's kind of hit or miss, but I've had good luck, fingers crossed, with Spin Up every year so far. And I mean, you talk about a chance to meet well, not everyone, but a good majority of the people that are in the chat right now, as well as other people that you see on YouTube that have live streams. And I mean, you mentioned Marcus and Ron Brown earlier, and those guys have come down every time we've done it. And I don't know. This maybe I don't think I'm going to do it every year going forward. It's a lot of work to put it together, and right now I'm still under a lot of pressure to get the location. I have to get the get the venue locked down so I can sign a contract. Everybody's saying when to spin up, when to spin up, where when's it going to be, where's it going to be? Well, it's going to be in Austin, I can tell you that. But the biggest thing is I don't want to mention the specific date until I have a contract signed, because I don't want people buying tickets and then, oh, wait a minute, it has to change. So that's where I'm at right now. It will be toward the end of the year, probably November. That's what I'm looking at, is either that first or second weekend in November. Which again, that's really nice in Austin. A lot of other places are getting cold at that point, but obviously Florida, Austin, those kind of places, they have nice weather. Have you been to Austin before, Bill?
No, I haven't. I've been to Dallas. I've been to Houston. Haven't been to Austin.
I'm sorry. Yeah. They're actually talking about combining Dallas and Fort Worth, and they're just going to call it Worthless.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Well,
I like that.
I was born in San Antonio, so I don't know if you know this, Bill. I was actually born on Kelly Air Force Base.
Base.
That's why my name is Kelly. That is in San Antonio. And my dad was in the Air Force. We moved to England. We moved to Germany. I spent a lot of my youth in Germany. Then we moved to Houston, and that's pretty much where I grew up. And then I moved to Austin to come to school, and I've been here since '87, so a long time.
Well, you know what I tell people about humidity? Everybody says, "Oh, it's so humid in Florida and everything." I said, "You don't even know what humidity is until you've been to Houston." Okay.
Yeah, Houston and New Orleans.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was there visiting some friends in Houston, and it was just, I mean, it was just, you walk and it was just,
you're just sweating. Oh. No.
Yeah.
Austin's certainly, it's a little further in, a little drier. It can get humid here, but not as frequently as it does in Houston. But I do hope you'll make it down this year. I would love.
What's real nice for me is I pretty much fly Southwest all the time, and there's a direct flight from Tampa there, which is really nice, because
Tampa to Austin.
Yeah, I don't.
Funny thing, because thank you, Hook 'em Horns, says John K. Chris and I are flying, I think, American direct to Orlando. But I also have a lot of points on American, so I was able to use some of those for this, so that kind of works out well. But good to know that there's a direct from Tampa to Austin.
Yeah, there's a direct from Tampa. Yeah. Well, one person I see, it's really kicking me because I really wanted to be there this year because I wanted to see you. I know Ken's going. I know Billy's going to be there. And then it was funny. Well, Marcus goes, "Well, I'm going to be there," and I said, "Well, yeah, I talk to you every week. I mean, so it's like,
right.
And same with Ron. But no, I haven't. Believe it or not, it's crazy. Okay, Ken had a baby girl. What was it? Probably like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen him for like 2 or 3 years. And he's 45 minutes an hour away, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he is crazy busy. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, that guy is definitely on the upswing, and I say this all the time, despite his foul language and sort of unconventional ways. I say despite that, he is one of the nicest, most caring people I've ever met.
Absolutely, 120%. I could not agree more. He has done, and I got to tell you this, and some of these guys might know this in the chat, but he has done so much behind the scenes for me and has helped me out tremendously. It's just been fantastic. And also Billy too. A lot of people, think these guys are unapproachable and everything, but I'll tell you what, simple questions. Billy's answered so many simple questions for me through the years. He's been great. And see, that's one of the things that I want to do. And I think you probably will echo this sentiment is, kind of pay it forward kind of a thing, because I'll get these questions all day long in my emails. And, I don't look at it as a burden. I look at it as a privilege to be able to help these people, because you know what, if I'm encouraging these people to fly and to do it right and to do it the right way, they're going to pay it forward and do that for others.
Yeah, 100%. And ultimately, again, it's about that, It's about the way the public perceives us. And generally, I don't really care what people think. But I think when it comes to drones, there is this misconception about weapons. There's a misconception about nefarious use. And that's not what we're all about, you know. And so every time you can help somebody out, whether it's a member of the community, like you said, with Billy answering questions, or somebody outside of the community, like somebody just asking you something and not, you know, taking just a second to answer them, or to say, hey, let me land and then I'll answer this, or whatever. You just having that sort of approachable mindset and demeanor, I think, really does wonders for the PR of this group.
Yeah, it does. It makes a big difference, and it's so nice. And we know one of the things that I really liked was, you know, we're going to kind of wrap things up here, but Johnny Alfonso put out it's a spreadsheet, for lack of a better
Yeah,
term,
yeah, I
of
have it.
all the shows on YouTube, and I
Yeah.
think it's fantastic. You know, he did. It's such a great service because, you know, you get to do that. And for me personally, okay, it with the schedule I've had, like working 10, 12-hour days right now, it's like, you know, producing a couple of videos a week. You know, me watching videos maybe on the weekends, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, my time for you know, entertainment is very limited.
But
It's
big
just
big shout out to Johnny, because yeah, I agree that was that's something I have, and I was able to. I mean, you know, we both have our time slots, but even like Art just reached out to me. Art Code Drone Solutions. He's going to be in out of town. He's doing his show. He's doing it at a different time, so I'm moving my time slot so that for next week, so that I don't step on him. You know, and then I'm gonna, you know, so it's just. I feel like the more we can kind of just communicate with each other and just say, hey, how can I help you out, or whatever, come on my show, come to my event, all that sort of thing. It's cool. You know, it's a very good thing.
it is, and that's one of the things that I really like. And you know, it was so good getting to know some of the people last time when I went last year for the South Florida Drone Meetup. We had a dinner that Saturday night, and it was great. And I got to say this, okay, Mark Fisher. Um, I told him, I said, "You're not. I don't think you take 5-hour energy. I think you take 24-hour energy." He was just kind of bouncing off the walls, kind of thing. And he was absolutely great. Just we got some great people, and it was so wonderful getting to know them last year. And that's my biggest regret is not being able to go this year to do that. But hopefully I can get to spin up this year. That's on my
Yeah,
radar.
put it
Yeah,
on your list, man. It may be the last one for the last one for the next 5 years. So,
yeah, I
if
think
you don't
I'm
come
gonna
this
make
year, don't expect to have it until 2027 or something like that.
yeah, I'm gonna make a concerted effort to do that. I think that'll be good, and it'll be good seeing people, you know. And that's what I tell people. You know, I've been encouraging people for the South Florida Drone Meetup. You know, if you're within, you know, a few hour drive, come down. It'll be a blast. And I gotta say this, you know. Uh, Ray Kelly does just some absolutely incredible work at putting this together. I know Johnny helps him. I know Matt is in there and helping him
Yep,
as well.
yep, yep.
But just the effort that Ray puts into this is just off the charts.
Oh
And
yeah.
I got to say this, Ray is one of the most enthusiastic drone persons you ever want to run into. I mean, he is
I've
100%
seen
drone
that. I've seen that.
all the
So
time.
I have to tell you, actually, Bill, you'll appreciate this. So 2021, I didn't do spin up in 2022, but in 2021, Ray won the Mavic 3. That was the sort
Hmm.
of grand prize. And the speaker, actually, it was old school. We had everybody's name. I basically printed out from the registrations, I printed out all the names of everybody that was coming, and I cut them, you know, into little slices. They were little bits of paper, all in this big bowl. Stick your hand in, pull it out, and that's who wins. So we gave away a lot of stuff. But the big prize was we gave away actually a DJI FPV. We gave away a couple of DJI Action 2s. We gave away a bunch of little toy drones, etc. The big prize was the Mavic 3, and the speaker, a guy named Elijah May, who was talking about robots, like he has a whole robot STEM program for kids. He did the drawing, and he pulled it out, and he looked at it, and he goes, Ray Kelly. and the whole room just went ape shit. I mean, it was just like crazy how everybody just went. And that was one of my favorite moments because, yes, Fly and Flynn Media says Captain Ray sleeps with that Mavic 3. It was just amazing. It was really cool, because he is such a big part of the community, and he is 100% a camera drone guy. He's somebody that absolutely will use it for that sort of thing. And I didn't want to have somebody, this Seafly Faith. Yes, I think Joe Blaylock might have won that turd. Sorry, Joe. But yeah, it was just such a great moment when he won that.
Yeah, it really is. And just, it just, he kind of embodies it. Well, his big saying is do drones, not drugs. And
former cop,
and
right?
I couldn't agree with him more. Kelly, I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight.
Oh yeah. Sorry, it took a little while. I think when you hit me up, I was traveling a lot, and I was like, how about March 28th? And I think that was like 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks away. And you were like, okay, but yeah, this worked out great.
Yeah. And I got to say this, it's just been fantastic. And I will make a concerted effort to get down to Spin Up this year. I'm really I've been wanting to do it, and it would be a good weekend to get away, and just kind of relax and chill out and rub shoulders with everybody.
Austin's a fun town too. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's definitely one of those towns that if you bring your wife, she's not going to have a bad time. It's not like you're not like going to, Des Moines, Iowa or something like that. Sorry, Des Moines.
I've been to Des Moines, trust me.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Anyway, hang on for a second. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. Again, for those of you that are going to the South Florida Drone Meetup, safe travels. I
will see you there.
Enjoy yourself. Have a great time. You'll be able to see this man over here. It's worth the price of admission for that. And then Dobo's going to be there, and Billy's going to be there. So, I mean, what more do you guys want? Of course, Captain Ray and everybody. But hey, guys, thanks so much for watching. And remember, it's a great day to fly. Take care, everybody. Have a good evening.